Welcome to the Millennial Network Podcast. Now your host, Coach Danny Renee.
What's up, everyone? It's Coach Danny Renee, and this is the Millennial Network Podcast. We have here Ray Jackson with Profit Integration, straight out of Detroit,
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
And a marketer. So, Ray, tell us, what is marketing and how did you get into it?
Well, I like to consider marketing as a way to convey your message to somebody who wants something. So it kind of motivating them to get something they really want. Um, really how I got into this, I pretty much I've been in IT for maybe like 15 years at the time. And my grandfather had his leg amputated and I couldn't help him out. I couldn't do anything about it. Um, So I went down to Tennessee and talked to him and see what happened, the reason why, he was having these issues. And his doctor came in and told me, Mr. Jackson, we could have avoided the situation if you could have ate right and exercised. And I
Mm-hmm.
asked him why you didn't do that. And his response to me is because he didn't have any support. He didn't have anybody to help
Mm-hmm.
him out. So at the time, I was really a big gym rat, going to gym and stuff like that. But I was in IT as a profession, and I decided I wanted to be a personal trainer. So I was a personal trainer, and being a personal trainer in Detroit is kind of hard because nobody wants to work out
Really?
here. But but I had a hard time marketing myself. So I didn't know how to do it. I just thought I had signs, I had brochures and flyers and business cards. I had all of this. I was passing them out, but I wasn't getting any traction behind it. And so I decided I wanted to study on it. I wanted to figure out what is this all about, this whole marketing thing. And I never be the one to, how would you say, stroke my own ego or make myself look good. I just
Mm-hmm.
never was that person. I like for my work to speak for itself, but I didn't have any work to show for it. I trained people, but never really got reviews and things of that nature. So I was kind of oblivious to it. So when I took up some courses online to try to figure out how to market, and in the middle of me being a personal trainer, my wife wanted to get pregnant with twins, and she told me I had to go back to IT because, personal training wasn't paying the bills. So I had to go back to IT.
Mm-hmm.
So once went back to IT, everybody started coming to me, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, and like, hey, aren't you still training? And I'm like, wait a minute, I'm like, that marketing stuff really works, and that's when I really like the epiphany came to my mind, like, I need to do this more often. I like that. I like the way that you can kind of convey a message to get somebody motivated to do something. So fast forward on, I decided to, because I was still like doing it on the side, just helping out different businesses and helping out different ones with websites and making sure they had a good marketing message. And then I decided, like, let me just design a business around this because I enjoy it. You know what I'm saying? When you find out something you like doing, you'll never work a day in your life. So I enjoy doing it. So, like, let me do that versus, fix people computers and fix, all these other different issues. I like to motivate people into doing something they want to do in the first place. And I
Mm-hmm.
started doing it more often. And so I started picking up some lots of little tractions. And here we are today, just like trying to push forward past this glass ceiling, because some other stuff kind of happened prior to, because my plan was to leave corporate America back in 2020, right before the pandemic. And
Mm-hmm.
I was going to leave there and going to run my business full fledged. But then the pandemic happened and I lost all my clients, every single one of them. I had to release about 10 of them. So
Wow.
I lost them all, had to start over from scratch. They lifted restrictions up the summer of last year here in Detroit, here in Michigan, whatever. So they lifted restrictions
Okay.
up. And I said, okay, let me start getting clients again because I want to still leave corporate America. So I started getting clients again. But the end of 2021, my Facebook account got hacked and somebody was running some
Oh my
campaigns
God.
off of my advertisement of my business manager. And
Was it like the Bitcoin or
no,
the
yeah,
crypto mining
it
or
was
something? No.
somebody that was doing, they was advertising like some type of scam, and they
Oh
was running it
yeah.
off my
They
account.
getting
So
people.
Facebook just banned me. They just kind of like disabled my account, and I could not do anything after that. It's like everything shut down. I pretty much was going back and forth for support, trying to get back hooked up, and I just couldn't do it. So I had to let go of those clients because I'm like, I like to work for you. I got to give you your money back because I'm a genuine person. I want to be honest with people. If it's something I can't deliver for you, I'm gonna tell you. I'd rather for you to be in
Mm-hmm.
contact with me and have honesty versus me trying to find a way to pull more money out of you. So um, once that happened, I said, you know what, I can't, after maybe like a month or two trying to get my Facebook account back. I was like, okay, let me start over from scratch, and because I know what I need to do. I just need to put forth more effort into doing it. So that brought me up to speed to where I'm at right now.
Gotcha. And you said IT. Like, what were you doing in
I
IT?
was doing systems administration. So when it comes to
System
like, yes,
admin.
when it
Okay.
comes to password reset, as a service not giving out the application properly, you're not able to print, you can't get to the internet. So I was pretty much the support guy.
Okay. Like when people first get into a company, you're the one that do like the phone. You're the ones that pretty much give them access to
Yeah,
everything.
yeah. So they will request access to a certain file or folder, and it pretty much got to get approved by their manager, and I grant them into the right group so they can get access.
Okay. Now you spoke about 2020, and you said like you lost all your clients. Was that like your marketing
Yes.
clients, or was that personal
No, that was
training?
my marketing client.
Yeah.
So once I left personal training, I left it all completely. I left.
How long ago was personal
That
training?
was 2012, 2013. Yeah.
2020.
So that's pretty
Okay.
much when I left them.
So walk us back to like the personal training. You said that you were doing marketing for personal training. Then when you decided to go back to work, all these clients started coming to
Hmm.
you. How long were you separated from like the corporate world to focus on your personal training before you decided to go back to corporate America?
I want to give it maybe maybe about a good a year or two. It was
Mhm.
in between this time because in this time period, I just got married, and I was
Mhm.
exploring this personal training thing because I was enjoying training. I just didn't like the other side of it. It's pretty much like kind of making sure people do right and stay motivated and stuff like that. It was a kind of a problem with because
Mhm.
people just still grown ups. They want to do what they want to do. Um,
Yeah.
so it was a little bit of a time span when I first learned marketing because when I first got in first training, I didn't know about marketing. I just thought I was supposed to put up some
Mm.
flyers or tell people I'm a personal trainer and people just going to come. But I didn't know how to brand myself to be able to, portray a message for
Yeah.
people to be compelled to buy from me. So once I learned that
Mhm.
skill set, that's when I started implementing it. But in the middle of me implementing it, that's when my wife said, "Hey, I'm in my third trimester of my pregnancy. You got to go back to corporate America." And so I wound up going back.
Mhm. Got you. And I love that you're sharing that story because there's so many people, that talk down on people going back to work. And I actually read an article that said that it was talking about how entrepreneurs who go out and just figure out entrepreneurship and base everything off their savings, and they don't necessarily make it on the first try. When they do go back to corporate America, they've learned a lot more about systems, and they actually end up making a lot more money because from their entrepreneurship journey, most people don't realize like when you become an entrepreneur, like you have to initially become every department that you didn't realize you had. In corporate America, you have to become the accounting, the finance, the HR, the sales, the marketing, and when you at least experience some of that, then it makes your worth when you go into that interview a lot um more valuable. Do you feel like you felt that when you went back to corporate
Oh yeah,
America?
most definitely. I feel like it's always been me to put on these different hats. I'm the one that never was the person that wanted to do the same thing every single day. I want to do something different, something
Mm-hmm.
innovating. And so if I can't do that, I feel stuck. I'm like, man, I'm tired of doing this. Reason why I couldn't work in the factory because, you know what I'm saying, screwing in the tire. And kudos to those people who work in the factory, the big three and stuff like that, because that's big up here in
Mm-hmm.
Detroit. So, but in my mind, I just couldn't come to work every single day and install a glass and do that every single day repeatedly. I had a problem with it, but I like having many hats. So sometimes I had to be the accountant. Sometimes I had to be the HR person. Sometimes I had to be the salesperson. Majority of the time, I got to promote.
Mm-hmm.
I got to be able to bring my brand out there. And then sometimes I got to be a CEO and say, okay, what direction we want to take this company to. So I like these different hats. It makes me tap into these different facets that I feel like that's part of my personality. So it's always been in my spirit to be entrepreneur. Even though some people who want to be an entrepreneur because they're good at one particular thing, maybe they're good at cooking something,
Mhm.
maybe they're good at repairing cars, and so I want to start my own shop, but they don't have a clue on how to
Mhm.
run a business, and so that's the part that they're missing. So
Yeah.
they're learning because they fixing they're picking it up as they go, but never stop educating yourself, never stop learning, because that's the
Agreed.
problem what people have. Because when you stop learning, you stop growing. So I always had that in my
Exactly.
mind.
I definitely agree. Because like when you look at most corporations are constantly learning. That's why they're bringing on different people, different skill set, because as technology advances, that's something new that they have to learn and adapt. I mean, we saw it big time with Blockbuster. Um, what's another one? Kmart.
Hmm.
They didn't adapt to the changes of a market. So corporations have to continuously learn as well. They have to continuously study the market and whatnot. Same with on the financial side. People that's walking around without a financial advisor, I think that's the craziest thing, because whether you have a little bit of money and you're trying to get somewhere financially, because I run into people that be like, I kind of like know what I'm doing already. You look at the world's wealthiest people, they ain't sitting there managing their own finances. They generally have, if you're a billionaire,
Hmm.
you think Mark Zuckerberg and Bill Gates and all of them over there like, hey, let me check, my finances, my budget. All right, I don't need, like, they have other people managing their
Hmm.
money. So we get this mindset where there's a lot of people on the net pushing all this DIY stuff, which I think to an extent is great. But in order to grow to certain levels, you definitely need help and experts to help you grow and level up each area. So bringing that into marketing, okay? Um, you said in 2020 you lost all your clients, like when the pandemic. What type of clients did you typically have? Like, what was the niche
For the
that you were
most, I
working
was
in?
doing mostly gym owners. I did a few. I had a
Mm-hmm.
few mom and pop shops. Different vendors that actually have a storefront. I had like an alteration lady. I had a restaurant. So it was kind of like a mixture of the two. Because I pretty much have my
Mm-hmm.
niche in the fitness industry just because I'm more versed in it. I understand the message. I understand what the owner wants. I know exactly what their client wants. So I'm able to bridge that gap. I'm pretty good with that portion of it. But then when I'm going to an industry, I need to know a lot about their clientele, know a lot about their customer, because I need to communicate to them the message. So when I'm not
Mm-hmm.
fulfilled in that part, it's because there's some clients I have to turn down. Certain people I just can't deal with it because I can't understand their clientele. I can't understand who they're trying to reach out to. So I can't really make a message for them. And going back to your
Mm-hmm.
statement, when it comes to having all these different hats, I believe that you have to understand those different hats. You have to understand accounting. You have to understand HR. You have to understand these different roles, because when you hire somebody in, you need to be able to say, "Hey, okay, that wasn't done right." You need to be able to address it when it's not
Mm-hmm.
done right. Or else, how can you see if somebody's doing a good job?
Exactly.
I'd rather for me to hire somebody, because it's a lot of stuff I'm not an expert at. I don't really know it. I'm not an accounting person, so I definitely need to hire somebody. But I gotta trust them enough that they're gonna follow doing what they say they're gonna do. Because if I'm sitting up there
Mm-hmm.
following behind you, and I'm looking at the books and it's like, wait a minute, that don't look like our revenue that we made this year. Something we worked something wrong, and so I need to be able to address it. And so it's important for
Mm-hmm.
any entrepreneur to understand those roles, but still be able to outsource them.
Exactly. Exactly. I agree 100% because you got to know how to manage and also purchase the resources that you need. But also, when you realize you hit a peak, then you need to know enough to where you can hire the right people.
Hmm.
Right. So, going back, I don't think, and I want to make sure everybody caught this because this was powerful. You said that you started off personal training. By the way, I tried to do the same thing. I think 2015, because I was on my road trying to get into the Olympics and everything. Um, so I was trying to like leverage my boxing skills to get clientele, and that's when I actually learned that you can learn sales, and then also like with marketing as well. So I probably did some of the same stuff you did, but I realized it wasn't for me because the same reason you say you were just like there's the other side to it where people still gonna do whatever they want to do, and I wanted to teach holistic, and I guess I didn't understand my market then. because I hated people coming to me saying, "Hey, I just want abs, but I don't want to do nothing else," or "I want to, legs or
Mm-hmm.
your glutes. I want a bigger glutes,
Right.
right?
Yep.
But nothing else." And it's just like, why are you working out? Just working out for just cosmetics just wasn't my thing. Like, you have to work out for your health, because as you get older, those different things start affecting you. But anyways, going back to what you said you started personal training, you realized that was not for you. Then you saw an opportunity for marketing.
Mm-hmm.
And with this opportunity for marketing, y'all listening, niche is very important. Sometimes we try to get into niches that we don't understand. Because there's a lot of marketers on the internet,
Mm-hmm.
right? But you decided at the time to focus on gym owners because you had a commonality with them. You were able to communicate the language,
Right.
correct? Got you. Okay, so that was 2020. Fast forward after 2020, um, tell me the direction of the marketing business and some of the lessons, because I know there were a lot of lessons with COVID, and like from 2020 to now, explain that process.
From 20, I knew that there was a gap in my skill set. You know how to market, but then there's different holes you still need to plug in because even though you might can put up a Facebook ad, but then what? Like you kind of like sometimes you like missing this whole strategy behind it because even though they see your marketing message, that don't mean that they're ready to buy right now. There's this thing that's called the buyer's journey, which usually people who see your
Mm,
marketing message either they're uh, want to buy right now, they're either going to be future buyers or they're soon to be buyers. So it just depends on where they at in the buyer's journey because just they see their marketing message don't mean that they're going to buy it right now. That's only 3% of the market. So when people put out advertisements up and so they uh, see the percentage of people that actually seeing their marketing message and seeing the people that's converting, they say, man, that number is pretty low when they have a 2 or 3% conversion. Well, that's pretty decent. Like you're getting out of 100 people, if 2 or 3 people get buy your product, that's 3% of the market. But then there's those people who soon to be buyers. You know what I'm saying? They want to buy, but it's not the right timing. You know what I'm saying? They're waiting for the kids get out of school. They're waiting for they get to their new career or get their raise, whatever the case may be. But they're still in the market for it, but they're just not ready to buy right now. Now the future buyers, on the other
mhm.
hand,
Now, is
yeah,
it a percentage difference between these two type
yes,
of people?
yes. So I would like to,
Or like, what are the percentages?
I like to use the people that's ready to buy right now makes up maybe like 3% of the market. Okay, 6 to 7% of the market
Okay.
are thinking about buying, which means it's on their mind, but they're thinking about it. They have it in their mind, so when they see it, then they're able to move forward with it. There's another thirty
Okay.
percent of the market who's not even they don't know if they're interested, meaning that they got a problem, but they don't know if it's a solution out there. Okay, and there's another 30% that's not even thinking about it at all. They just don't have a clue. They need to know that they have a problem. And so there's another 30% who's not going to buy from you. No matter what you do, you can't get 100% of the market. So there's 30% of the market that's just not interested. Maybe their cousin do it. They got a brother that's in the family that does what you do or sell the product that you sell, and they're not going to buy from you at all. But that 70% of the market
Mm-hmm.
is available to you. So if you have a message for each one of those categories, so the person that don't have it on their mind, if you can actually point out the pain that they have and say, hey, I got a solution to that pain that you have. And what's happening is now
Mm-hmm.
they're interested, like, oh, I didn't know that was a problem. I thought when my wife did this, I thought it was, because I didn't take the trash out. Well, really, because you really haven't took her out in a long time. So now I need to address the reason why your wife is fussing at you, not because of the trash, just because you have to spend some time with her. And so people are just not aware.
Wow.
It's like me being a husband. If I'm not aware of it, like it's not on my radar. I'm not thinking about it. But see, now I brought
Yeah.
it to your face. Now you able to do something about it. Now that you educated. Now those
Mm-hmm.
people who have a problem, but they're looking for a solution. Like, okay, I got this problem, but I really don't know what I need. Those people need to get educated. They need to be able to be
Yeah.
informed on what you sell and how you're going to be able to solve their problem. Because now that they have that information, now they have clarity, and clarity is what makes you buy. People think that because you look good and you got a polished up product or service that everybody's going to buy from you, and they're not. I believe you talked about where people only buy from somebody they know, like, and trust. So if they don't know
Yeah.
you, they don't trust you, they're not going to buy from you. Even though you might have the greatest
Mm-hmm.
product. But see, if we able to convey a message to them to say, hey, let me give you some information. Let me educate you on this because maybe all the other gimmicks that's out there is telling you this, but I like to say you the real thing. And then you can separate yourself from the competition because you're no longer trying to sell them. You really want to educate them. So, regardless of what they're
Mm-hmm.
doing, I want to give you more education. I want you to be more informed because now you can make an informed decision on whether you can get my product or services because you constantly give me information. And so that's where the market is going to
Mm-hmm.
because it's so much competition out there. How can you compete? What's going to separate you from the
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
competition?
you're right.
You know what I'm saying? If you don't have a good marketing message. So when 2020 came about, I knew that there was a part of me that didn't understand copywriting as well as I do now. And copywriting is a very, very informative language that if you can't convey that message properly, then you're going to miss them anyway, right? So
Yeah.
learning copywriting, I feel like it was the most important skill that I developed throughout the 2020 because now I had this extra time because I lost my clients. So it's better for me to get more training because I knew that there was a flaw in my marketing. And so,
Now explain to everybody what copywriting is, because most of the time most people think that copywriting is just um, a book, like going through a whole
right.
process.
Yeah, copywriting is pretty much is a message, a sales message that's being portrayed on the internet that persuade a buyer to take action, no matter if it's
Mm-hmm.
verbally, visually. It's some type of stimulation that has to go on for copywriting to be called copy. Now you can see messages up there, and it's probably say some information that can compel you, encourage you, but something about something that draws you. When you have a compelling message, it pulls you because our biggest motivator is curiosity. So if I ask you a
Mm-hmm.
question, would you like to know the 7 ways that you can actually flatten your stomach? And so it's like, yeah, like yeah, I want to know that. Like, give me that information. And so
Right.
now you want to take the next step. And so it's more like putting a worm on the end of the hook. If I can hook you with curiosity, now you interested. Now I can educate you more. I can get you more intrigued more. So now when it's time for you to buy, you're ready to buy because I done gave you so much information now.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty much a very, very
Gotcha.
important skill that I feel like everybody who's ever an entrepreneur, please learn the skill of copywriting. If you don't do nothing else, if you feel like you don't want to outsource marketing, please learn that skill because that would be the most valuable skill. You can pay somebody to put up, do your tech work for you. You know what I'm saying? Put up your message and make the graphics all pretty and stuff like that. But if you don't know the words to convey to your market, they might not gonna buy from you anyway. And the biggest problem is
Yeah.
I have to
Good point.
pull, how would you say, business owners, their message out of them. Just because I don't want the language to be my language. I want it to be their language.
Right.
Even though I'm copywriting it for them, but I still want to put it in their words, in their verbiage, because
Mm-hmm.
of the way that they say things is going to be different from the way I say it. And so I'm just wanting to bridge that
Yeah.
gap to be more like the translator. You know what I'm saying? Where you
Mm-hmm.
speak in this language and the client is speaking this language, and I'm kind of like bridging the gap. So that's pretty much like a skill like
Now, do you know that they have AI
hmm
copywriters, like copywriting program? What's your thoughts on those?
I feel like they're beneficial for ideas when it comes to because I deal with a few of them myself where you put in your message in there and they spill you out some information on how you should put in your copy, but it don't sound like a
Mm-hmm.
language. It don't sound like you articulating the verbiage properly. It got to be a conversation. It can't be a
Okay.
signage because you read paragraphs all the time. You read books and it just sound like a paragraph. But those books that sound like a conversation, like somebody's talking to me, I feel it. What I'm saying, I'm emotionally involved into it because I'm talking to you. Like we're vibing here. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
that's where AI is kind of like missing because they don't have that emotional intelligence. They can write down a script that can make you like feel some type of way, but to say it in your language is important because your language might be you
Mm-hmm.
might be goofy, you might be loving, you might be a little bit of a comedian. You know what I'm saying? And you want some of that in your message. So because I want
Mm-hmm.
to be able to know you as a person, not so much as you trying to appeal to my intellect to make me do something you want me to do. You know what I'm saying? If you're having a
Gotcha.
conversation with me because we friends, because you like me, you want to get to know me a little bit better. So you want to say, hey, let me introduce myself. This is what I do. This is why I do it. Okay, you want to know more
Got
information,
it. That makes
and so
sense.
now you want to know more information about it because I'm giving you all of me. So I think
Mm-hmm.
AI it plays a
So
small
treat it
role into it.
like we're having a conversation.
Yes.
Okay. So for marketing, you mentioned, because my next question is going to be like marketing versus sales,
Hmm.
right? But you mentioned that there has to be a conversation. You have to educate, 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 and people keep hearing that. And I guess research that shows that most sales happen between like the fifth and the seventh reach out or
Hmm.
something, call, whatever. It's like multiple times that you got to reach out to a person. So when it comes to building a business, a lot of times, especially if you quit your job too early, y'all, you definitely want to have enough income or savings and emergency fund and all of that saved before you quit your job.
Hmm.
But um, so between the fifth and the second time, I'm sorry, the seventh time is when most sales occur.
Okay.
But you hear constantly educating the consumer. When do you go for the ask, or do you wait for them to ask you? Because I think that's the varying conflict with information being put out nowadays. Is people are like, hey, I got to make a sale, I got to make money, but then you hear market, market, educate, educate, educate. So what do you find that
Well,
balance?
I'll put it in the terms of a relationship. When you go out on a date, you know what I'm saying? You it's a vibe that you feel. You feel like you want a nightcap? Do we want to take things further? Because now I'm feeling you now. Like, it's
Mm-hmm.
after the second date, you kind of know whether you're going to take this a little bit further. Already know, like back in the dating scene, I already know after the second date where we can move things further or this ain't about to be nothing. You know what I'm saying? So when I come to that conclusion and now I'm vibing with this person, because it might be the third date, it might be 3 months from now. You know what I'm saying? And it takes a certain vibe. It takes clarity. When it comes to
Mm-hmm.
uh, the the business owner and the customer, they have to have a certain bond. And when I have a certain rapport with you, you actually know what I'm all about. You know where I'm at. And now I'm constantly giving you information. Now I constantly see you showing up because now our conversation is not, hey, what you doing this weekend? Our conversation is, when can I see you
Mm-hmm.
again? Can I come over tomorrow? When I see you that way, now the sale has come on because now you want to see me that often. Okay, now we're moving along the steps because now you constantly coming to me every single day versus trying to see me every other weekend. If that's clear, so it's more
Okay.
like I said, it's a very um, sensitive spot because you don't want to be pushy. I don't like pushy salespeople. You know what I'm saying? People that's
Exactly.
forcing you to buy
That's
something.
unprofessional
Hmm.
salespeople. Yeah, typically.
Right. So I'd rather for
So
people to come
I
to that
let
conclusion.
me let me see if I could let me see if I could translate
Hmm.
this though, because I want to make sure everybody's listening can understand. Because you said it's like a relationship, right? And if they come and keep coming back, so if you have an email list, a content management, CRM, client relationship management system, different things like that, and you're putting out emails each week.
Hmm.
Whoever constantly watching and like opening up your emails, they're enjoying a relationship. People that are on social media, every time you putting out content, if they're watching your stories or if they are liking your posts, engaging on the business specific content, they're that person that's in a relationship where they're kind of like, the correlation to like the dates and different things like that.
Hmm.
So as you constantly see them engage with what you're putting out, then you can go in and kind of get to know who more about who they are. And then the question won't necessarily be too far off. Is like, hey, can I help you with XYZ? Because I see you like XYZ. Is that basically kind of like what you're saying in
Yes,
summary?
yes, exactly. It's exactly when it comes to, like you say, keeping up in touch with them, following up with them, and they see your marketing message, they see what you're putting out there. There's always some type of call to action, like when you receive that text, hey, you can text me back. You know what I'm saying? If you see that I'm calling you and you're busy, then just call me back. And it's pretty much more like that relationship where you always
Mm,
leave the door open, so when they're ready, they're going to come. You know what I'm saying? It's certain times where I
okay.
actually talk to, because I grew up with all females. I'm the only child, but my uncle Frank had 5 daughters, and so growing up with all women,
Hmm.
they always had this question like, "Why you ain't call me back?" You know what I'm saying? I called him 10 times, you know what I'm saying, the other day, and he still ain't calling back like he don't want you. No, we had a fun time. I said,
Mm.
you had a fun time with him, but he don't want you because if he wants you, he'll call you back.
Mm.
That's his point,
Oh
point,
yeah.
point blank and simple. But some people have this story that go along in their head, like people are so romantically involved with their business, they forget about the client. They're like, oh, I know I got the stuff. I know I got this. So, you know what I'm saying? You better come get it. Like, come on. Like, well, no, everybody else got what you got too. You're not the only person. There's a
Hmm.
lot of fish in the sea. And so I can
Yeah.
choose because I can go to you, I can go to you, I can go to you, and I'm going to make up my mind who I really want to see because I'm in a mood what they call
Hmm.
it. I'm open for dating. I'm dating now, so I'm just saying seeing what's out there. And so when I find out, okay, wait a minute, that's the one right there. He do it for me. Now you got some type of rapport you building with them, so when they really take the next step, they can.
Yeah. I think you just said something that I've never heard any marketer say, but it's the most simplest thing. Is we hear call to actions often on social media. Like that's what every marketing coach guru go to
Hmm.
is. But you said a call to action, even in communication, where you're talking to that person on the phone. As I remember the other day, I saw this lady. She sent someone a message for her business, and it looked like it. The message was like months prior, like a few months prior, and then the person was basically like, "Hey, I decided to go with someone else." And then few months, I guess she finally decided to go back. She was just like, okay, I'm going to scratch your name off the list, yada, yada, yada. And then the girl was just like, well, that was rude. And then she asked everyone's opinion on if her message was rude because in her mind, she was just like, cool, like, great, you went with somebody else. And I told her, I was like, well, you shouldn't have said to scratch your name off the list because um, that's, it's an emotional response. Like usually when I'm telling people I'm gonna scratch their name off the list, it's because they're not responding to me, they're not answering the calls or messages, different things. And sometimes, not all the times, I'm giving y'all sales trips. Sometimes it gets a reaction because no one wants to be scratched off a
Hmm.
list. But the girl had already removed herself off the list. So going to your point of call to action, where I told her I was like, you could have did things different was the girl said she decided to go with someone else's products. You could have still made yourself available. Just be like, hey, that's completely fine. But if you ever need a second opinion or yada, 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 you can hit me up. You can call me. You can text me. That's a call to action. And I think that was very powerful. And I don't think that's being taught enough because you're putting it in someone else's hands. Say, hey, all right, I'm going to back off, professionally, but I'm always here.
Hmm.
It's basically what you're saying when it comes to the call to action,
Yes,
right?
exactly. You gave me a
That
thought.
is
You
powerful.
gave me a really, really good thought. You know, me and my wife, I've been knowing her
Mm-hmm.
for 12 years before we got married. You know, and in the middle of the 12 years, we dated off and on. It's pretty much like we dated off and
Mm-hmm.
on. She wound up uh, having a child, you know what I'm saying, between us dating, whatever. And I still had the door open. You know what I'm saying? We never had closure because we never completed anything. We never really got started. So the sales never was made. So if you already in your mind the sale was made, you can leave the door open. Say, okay, well I'm here when you're ready. You go to them because what's going to happen is you're gonna get tired of those guys. You know what I'm saying? Them guys playing around.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They're just doing their thing. But I'm the guy that's serious. So if you really want me, then you're going to come
Mm.
back to me because you can say, okay, I done went around the corner a few times, and those guys they're not talking like you talking. They're not doing what you're doing. But I want to be involved with you. And so it makes a difference because now you're standing firm. So if you can be consistent throughout your marketing and not so much as using everybody for a transaction to say, okay, since you didn't bought from me, I'm gonna scratch you off my list. Like, I'm not gonna call you no more. I'm not gonna deal with you. There's people right now to this day that I have dealt with in the past. I still follow up with just to say, hey, how you doing? Everything's all right. I'm glad everything's going doing good. Uh, Merry Christmas to you. Whatever the case be, just kind of give them a heads up. Not that I'm looking to sell them. That's my way of selling them. My door's still open without telling them that.
Mm-hmm.
So if I now that I told them that, it's more like, oh, I forgot Ray was still in business about this. Let me call him up because I want help now. So long as you leave that
Mm-hmm.
door open, like the cycle is going to repeat itself. It's going to go because if you legit, people gonna come back to you anyway, just because you legit.
Yeah, gotcha. So sales versus
Hmm.
marketing. What's the difference?
Well, I like to say marketing is the way to get attention. The say, hey, I'm right here. Look at me. Okay. The sales portion of it is more like the transaction, like, hey, we want to bond together. We want to do something together. You know, I like to pull myself in the middle of that because I like both sides of it. I like sales, I like marketing. The biggest problem with just being one sided, because you can do all the greatest marketing in the world and bring a whole lot of people in, and the salesperson can't sell anybody. So what's going to happen is all your
Mm-hmm.
marketing efforts, that marketing money that you spent, is going to go to waste because your salespeople can't even sell. They just order takers. They know how to take an
Yeah.
order in. They know how to write your name and your number down and stuff like that. But you have a good sales team, they're going to convert them. And then vice versa. If you have a good
Mm-hmm.
sales team, so no matter who you put in front of them, they can close every single person you put in front of them. But then your marketing message is crap. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to get a lot of people that are going to come in the door to even be closed. So I like to stick myself right there in the middle. So being able to put my hands in both pots, because it's a hard thing to do. And there's only few people is able to have the skill set, because you got to have both mindsets. You just can't have just the one. Because if you all about the sales, that's what you're gonna do. Everything gonna be an offer. Okay, if
Mm-hmm.
since I bought you a drink, let's go to bed. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like it's all everything is gonna be the sale, because that's what you're all about. You're all about the offer. What can I give you to make this transaction happen? Do you need two drinks? You need,
But
yeah.
how do you integrate the two though? Because it seems like marketing takes a minute. Because you got to get to people got to know who you are. They got to know you're
Mhm.
serious, and it takes a minute for people to learn. We don't go to school and learn overnight. A lot of times we're in school up until 12th grade, and then we got college. And we're going. It takes a minute, and then when we actually get out of college and get the actual job, we still don't know what we're doing.
Mhm.
So it takes a minute to educate a person. But my audience, part-time entrepreneurs and new entrepreneurs, they're ready to make some money. Let's be honest. How do they make money now while still building that the marketing
Yeah. Well,
message?
you have to get people, and this is the best way. And I'm gonna give you a really really good strategy. I think some of your viewers might agree with this. Partner up with somebody. Find somebody who
Okay.
service your clients and partner up with them and say, hey, send me some of your people, so I'll be able to, I can give you a kickback, or I give you some, we'll make some type of agreement up to where you can benefit from it. Because now they trust you, they know you, they bought from you. So if you refer them to me, they're more likely to buy from me instantly, instead of me having to educate them on me market to them, because now these are clients that they already trust you. So whatever you say, your recommendation, they're gonna vouch for it, you know. And I believe that for majority of entrepreneurs, they want the stuff right now, and sometimes it's not might
Mm-hmm.
not be their time. It's more like you got to get some more reps in. You got to get some more sets in. You can't get it automatically. A lot of people, even when I was training, they wanted to lose 30 pounds in a month, and I'm like, well, you can try to do that. It's called starvation if you that's the route you want to go, but I don't think you want to starve yourself. Like, yeah.
Starvation.
I mean, it's a strategy for that if that's what your goal is, but you don't want to sit up there and croak trying to lose some weight, and then you're gonna gain it all back in the
Right.
next month or two. So it takes
Mm-hmm.
some reps, it takes some saps. If you can be consistent in your message, being able to every time you go somewhere, you're broadcasting, you're promoting, you're letting people know, those people want to remember you. The people that's
Mm-hmm.
thinking about buying, they're going to remember you. Those people that have that mindset to say, I got an issue and I'm looking for a solution, and now you presented a solution to me. When I'm ready to get that cured, get that resolved, I'm going to come to you. And it does take time. And so majority of business owners, they can't wait. They want to make the sale right now. Majority of people, they want sales right now. Everybody that come to me, they want instant marketing. And I say, okay, I understand this, but I want to give you realistic expectations. Okay, because and I give them the story even with my personal training. Like when I was marketing in personal training, when nobody showing up, nobody come up until I went back to
Mm-hmm.
corporate America, and next I get a flood of people coming in. And I'm thinking like, what happened? And I'm thinking like I had to look at the message to myself. What did I say? I'm trying to figure out what did I say to them to motivate them to come to me now. But
Mm-hmm.
in the interim, what I'm saying, you have to have some type of stash, some type of way you can persevere through the tough time. Because in the beginning, it's going to be tough. You know what I'm saying? Anything
Mm-hmm.
to move something from standing still to getting it going, it's going to be the toughest momentum. You got to put all your effort into it. From a car that's being parked, it takes all of its energy pushing that car forward. And so you're going to have to do that in the beginning. And it's not up until you get to a certain speed level where you can cruise it out. But in the beginning stages, you can
Gotcha.
cruise it out. So you need to have a little bit of some stash that's able to save off, or maybe a part-time job, some way that's able to stabilize you to be consistent. So for those people who may
Mm-hmm.
want to get sales right now, you can, but that's only going to be 3% of the market, and 3% of the market is not going to sustain your income. It's not going to sustain your livelihood. Okay, so you get one to two
Got you.
clients a month. It's like I got some money coming in, but it's not enough to pay the bills. And so that's where we at.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can persevere, I tell people when it comes to results, it's almost like training. You know what I'm saying? Give it 60 to 90 days. You should see a difference. You should see some change.
Okay.
Even in 30 days, you should see some type of progress. Just like um, working out, you should be able to get stronger. You might not be losing weight, but you should be losing. You should be getting strong. You may be losing weight at a very small rate, but at least you're getting stronger. So that's an indication you're going in the right direction.
Mm.
And so that's what people need. They need these
I
indicators.
love the correlation. Yes, I love the example. So when you were doing your training though, you say you were passing out flyers,
Hmm.
but you were still talking to people, right?
Hmm.
So you still have the direct aspect where when you're new in business, because I still want people to that's listening to know that when you're still new in the business, you do want to reach out to people. You do want to let them know what you're doing. That is the sales part. Is how you do the sales though, I guess is where the marketing comes in, because you have direct sales where some people actually do very well directly messaging people saying, hey, this is what I do, I would love to earn your business. I mean, not necessarily that's the script, but that's directly reaching out. And if you go through the high numbers, you can, based on what you're saying, you can get that 3%.
Hmm.
But then there's also another way of indirectly reaching out to people, which I guess you can look at outside of just marketing. When you go out, people would market like with flyers. They'll give a flyer, hey, this is what I do. Hey, this is what I do. You're constantly messaging people indirectly instead of saying, hey, um, I don't necessarily need to have your business right now, but this is what I do. So that they can still come back and just be like, hey, this person wasn't pushy, this person wasn't yada yada yada, but I need the services now. Because now that you know what they do, and if you constantly keep putting in their face what they do, um, they're gonna eventually come to you,
Yeah, yeah.
right? Like this is a funny example. Recently, the other day, I drove past this place for 10 years. 10 years. And I was like, I'm gonna go in there. I used to even live by it. I thought it was like a Mexican restaurant, and it will always look like it was a good crowd there. And I used to live walking distance from it, and I'm like, I'm gonna go by there one day. I'm gonna go by there one day. The other day I was driving, I was like, I want some Mexican food. Let me go in there. Finally gonna go in there. I go in there, I'm blown away because one, it wasn't a Mexican restaurant. I mean, it had a Mexican name. It was a lounge,
Okay.
and they did have food. But it was kind of like wow, because when I went inside, um, they had two bars. They had two different rooms specifically for dancing, not to include the one room for a pool table, and not to include the first room I walked in, which is where the bar was at, and then they had VIP seating, and they had hookah and all of this. And I was just blown away because I'm like, one, it doesn't look that big from the outside. But two, this looked like a pretty cool place and it's not far from my house. It looked like a pretty cool place to go into.
Hmm.
So when it comes to reaching out with business, a lot of people are not necessarily a no, they are not right now. But it took me over a decade to go into this place, and it's been there for who knows how long. And then I was blown away. And I guess my message to everyone that's listening is that sometimes it'll take people a minute to come to you, but if you're doing things the right way, then they're gonna always come back around to you,
Hmm.
right?
Right.
So I they didn't have to call me up. but their name and the attraction that they were generating eventually had me make a decision, be like, "Yo, I want to go in here." So, segue into your marketing. Tell us about profit integrations and how does it help entrepreneurs, specifically even millennial entrepreneurs, part-time or new business owners, get to where they want to go business wise.
Oh yeah, and that's simple. And I'm gonna go back to your statement, and then I'll pick it up from there because I thought about your touch
Okay.
points, which is very important. You talked about how it takes about 6 to 7 touch points before you be able to buy, and majority of times people feel like you're going to pull up the same message over and over again, and that's be the touch point. And it's better to have more a compelling message because my conversation from you from the first time I saw you is going to be different from the second time I saw you because now I got some rapport. I know. Uh, how many kids you got, or I know about where you work at. I know a little bit about your service. Now I can go a little bit deeper. And so, what a marketing message you
Mm-hmm.
want to convey is something to kind of get them down a rabbit hole, kind of like, okay, let me go deeper. You know what I'm saying? Now that this is our third call. You know what I'm saying? Go back to the dating thing. When I call you the third time, this is our third date. Our conversation is going to be a little bit different from the first time I called you and I got your number. You know what I'm saying? So now I'm more
Yeah.
intimate with you because I'm able to let you know more information. So when it comes to that, it's more like drawing them in. So what we do at Profit Integration, we take a business, understanding where they at right now and where they're trying to take the business to and try to figure out what's stopping you. What is the reason why you can't get there? You know what I'm saying? Majority of times it's all about money. Majority of times it's because they're not getting enough revenue coming in. And so we try to make sure
Mm-hmm.
that they understand what they're doing in their business. So when it comes to they got the business, it's running full force. I take a look at the marketing message that they're sending out there, and I can tell them and say, hey, you ever thought about conveying a more curious message or something that's more motivating? Have you found out ways to educate them because you don't have any education tools in place? You don't have any ebooks. You don't have any way or videos or anything to kind of explain to them about your product and services. You're not even telling your story. You know what I'm saying? And so people want to
Mm-hmm.
get to know you. So if you be able to, so now I'm talking to them and I'm able to convey some information out of them because this is something I have to pull
Okay.
because nobody's unpacking this for them. You know what I'm saying? They've been running the business, they've been doing what they've been doing for so long. That's all they know. So now I'm pulling out this information. So now I'm writing this information now and say, okay, this is it. This is how we're going to do it. So we write down our storyline, and we kind of convey it into a couple of emails that we want to follow up with a customer. Then we have the informational product that we develop, maybe the 10 tips on how to get better sleep. You know what I'm saying? It could be something simple. There's something that kind of convey information to the market to say, hey, you can get this free. So once we get their name, email address, now we're able to capture them. So we got their attention, now we capturing them. So just like you get somebody's attention, you want to talk to them, you exchange phone numbers. So now we got their information, we
Mm-hmm.
can contact them. Now in the marketing message with the emails, we're able to follow up with them, pretty much kind of like giving our story, why this product is so unique compared to our competitors, what makes us the only choice that you should choose for us because we only deal with this type of customer. So we have to get ultra specific when we talk about our customer we're trying to sell. And the only people that are able to do that, you got to be in your business for quite a few years to know who your customer is. Because now you kind of critique
Mm-hmm.
because there's some customers that you don't want, all right? And some people that's cheap that don't really want to pay for any service. They're looking for the cheapest ones. You don't want them because they're never going to be loyal to you in the first place. And so when you
Mm.
identify
Wait, the cheap customers, the
customers,
cheap
mhm,
customers, you don't want them because they won't be loyal to you
yes,
anyways.
exactly.
I love
Yes,
that.
and that's real. That's reality. Some people don't like to think that way, but
Mm-hmm.
that's reality. Everybody don't want you for you. The people just look for a cheap thing. Like, okay, I just want something cheap. Just to hold me off for right now. I'm not looking for the best. You know what I'm saying? I'm not looking for the only because that's what I want to corner a business owner into being the only person that provides this. And I'm like, what business owner can say that? It's only a few that's able to say we're the only person that does this. And so it's like, well, I can't. Everybody sell what I sell, but can you offer more value than what your competition is offering? Well, I don't know how to do that. Well, we need to figure out a way. What do your customer wants before they come to you? What do they want after they come to you? If we can package those two together on top of what you have to offer, guess what you got? You got a unique business now
Mm,
that you're the only person that
mm,
provides all of this. So now you guess what you can do? You can raise some prices up. You don't have to charge what everybody charging because now you're not comparing apples to apples. It's apples to oranges comparison. So when they look at you, they like, well, I could go there, but you guys offer this, that, and the third. So maybe I should need to go with you guys
mm-hmm,
because you provide more value. People don't shop for price; they shop for value. So when it comes to our strategy, what we try to do is make sure they have a market dominating position, so they can corner the market, so they can actually have a marketing message because that's what's going to get people attention. If you're the only person that does this, like, oh man, I didn't know they do that. So now they're more
mm-hmm,
interested. So now um, you conveying your marketing message through email. So now it's time for you to say, hey, you want to go out on a date? Do you want to take things further? That's where the call to action comes in, where we actually leaving the door open because they not want to buy from us right now, but we want to constantly keep talking to them. We want to have a conversation with them. We want to make sure that we're still having the conversation lines open, even if you did buy from somebody else, even if you went to
mm-hmm.
our competitors. We still want to leave the lines of communication open. So when you decide, like, wait a minute, they didn't do me right. But I know this one person that keep emailing me, they're constantly giving me their message and constantly educating me. So I wanted to go to them. And so we try to go by metrics. So I don't want to have some type of hope that we send out a marketing message. We want to make sure that it converts. So I
Mm-hmm.
want to make sure that their sales team is able to convert the sales because if I bring a lot of people in and not converting them, then I'm not going to be no good to them. So I want to make sure their marketing
Right.
team is sharp. So when I bring in the people that's going to sell, so I work with them and say, hey, tell me how do you sell people? When somebody wants to sell, buy your product or service, how do you do it? Oh, we do it by phone and we stop by or whatever the case may be. And I say, okay, how? Tell me about it. Walk me through the process. Okay, you want me to
Mm,
sell you? Like, yes, sell me. So now we're going through the process step by step and I said, okay, this is what we can tweak here because right now you explain this part to me, but then right now it's not enough information for me to move forward because I got a few objections. So if you never address the objections in the middle of what you're telling me, I'm gonna, stand off in the first place. I'm gonna be backed up like, nah, not right now. I need to talk to the wife. Wait till she get back, or we got excuses now because now we backpedaling and a lot of us do that because
mm-hmm.
we don't really want to get sold. But I want the chance, the opportunity to buy something when I want to buy it, and I don't want to be forced into it. But as long as I give you enough information, it should be a smooth transition. And so I want to make sure those lines are clear. So when people I'm sending to you, they're able to close automatically. That's what I want to do. So some people they need more marketing. Some people need
Yeah.
more sales. Some people just need a little bit more coaching. And so I have to distinguish what this business owner really needs because sometimes they just need some coaching. Maybe they got a good product. Maybe their marketing message is really good. Maybe their salespeople is really good, but they're not able to scale. And now I'm like, okay, well,
Mm-hmm.
you put all your, and of course, I fuss a lot of business owners right now because you put all your eggs in baskets in Facebook. Now, if Facebook decide to change their algorithm, what I'm saying? They decide to disable your account. What you gonna do?
Yeah.
You're not gonna have no business no more.
Which is what you said happened to you as well, right?
Exactly. So that was a
Whew.
good thing that I went through that because now it makes me find out other strategies that I need to use and have those already plugged in. Not so much to say if Facebook don't
Mm-hmm.
work, then I'm gonna go there. No, I need to have all these things plugged in. And so while we're trying to integrate these different strategies into one particular package. So now all you're gonna do if you work on your lead generation, you work on your conversions, you work on your transactions, you work on your pricing, you work on your profits if you work on those five aspects of your business, I mean, your profit's going to go up exponentially. It's going to rise up. You don't have no
Mm-hmm.
choice because you constantly working on the things, the five things that's going to move the needle. And that's what pretty much what profit integration is all about. It's just moving the needle. We're not about saying all about the
Got you.
flash and all
Okay.
about that. It's more of how can we improve your business and make it better.
Okay. So, and are you currently working right now,
hmm
full time
I'm
in
full
your
time in the business.
business?
Yep.
Nice. So, leave us off with when you were working as a system admin, and then you were balancing your business on the side. And what advice do you give to those people that are trying to manage both?
Okay, and this is a good strategy because a lot of people miss this, and I hope this could be some real good value because this is something I missed out. Because you're not gonna see this in no books,
Mm-hmm.
you're not gonna see this in no podcast, you're not gonna see it a lot of different places. But I'm explaining to you more so the transition of it. It's more like you have a secret stash that every money that you make from your business, you just keep in the business. You don't spend it, you don't do anything with it. Every single dollar, every single dime that you get from your business, you leave it alone. And also, a portion of your check, you put it into a different savings account that you don't even touch. The same account that your
Mm-hmm.
business is going into. So now you're stacking in, and it don't have to be a whole bunch. It could be like $100, $200 a check that you automatically the debit out of your account before you even see it. You're not gonna see it at all. You're not gonna miss it because you're able to adjust with the money that you get and put that to the side. And next thing you know, it started building up. And so what happened was in my transition out of corporate America, I was stashing away the money that I was bringing in for my business. Now, and give or take, and I'm gonna be totally honest with your audience. I did dip in it a few times, because there were certain gifts I couldn't buy. I remember my anniversary, and I could not think of anything to buy my wife, and so of course she wanted this Louis bag, and I'm like, and when I get you a Louis bag, I started seeing the prices of it. I said, "Oh my God, these
Mm-hmm.
things are ridiculous!" Like, and I had to like really
Yeah.
find out like what do this thing do? Why is it so? I understand it's a luxury bag. I get that, but in my mind, in my circle, in my world as a guy, I didn't know Louis bags cost that much. So guess what I had to do?
Mm-hmm.
I had to dip into my business account to get that money because like the anniversary was right around the corner. So let me dip. So I pulled that money out to go pay for that Louis bag. But then I was like, okay, let me not mess with it no more. So that was like a you know emergency spending, I would say. Can I use that for that? Like, really?
Emergency.
Ray, you spending for a Louis bag? That's
That's funny.
emergency spending? Like, how, But yeah, I did
Mm-hmm.
that. But for those people who are very serious and really want to build a business and transition out of corporate America, the best way to do it, every single time you make any dollar in your business, put it up. Don't spend it at all. Act like it's not even there. Okay. Whatever you got
Okay.
PayPal, whatever you got Stripe, and you fill that account up as much as possible. Have another separate account that you actually taking a portion of your check. And like I said, it can be $100, $200 each check that you put to the side into that same bank account. Let it grow. Because in the beginning stage, you're still learning
Mm-hmm.
anyway. You don't have to just jump full of fledged into it unless you just have to. Like majority of us don't have to. We got skills that we might not like our job, but we can do it. So long as you're able to do it, you know
Gotcha.
what I'm saying, you're able to say, okay, I can stick through this for another, what I'm saying, 6 to 12 months or another 2 years, whatever case, how long it takes you to get there. Because let me tell you the getting there point. The getting there part is more like when you're high in demand. These are two things got to take place. You're either very high in demand or you got enough money to last you for about a good 6 months. Okay. If those two boxes are not checked off, or either or of those boxes checked off, stay at your job. Keep your job because it's nothing worse than a business owner that's desperate for money. When you become desperate,
Yeah.
people feel that like, oh man, like you really need me. So I know you say your price was $600. Can you take two? And he's like, man, you pulling my chain, but I ain't got no money, so let me take the two. So now you're devaluing yourself because you need the money. You have no
Mm-hmm.
choice. You can't offer a high value product because you got to give them the $200 product because that's all you
Yeah.
be able to like because you need to take that money. So don't put yourself in that
Yeah.
position.
You definitely don't want to need people.
So yeah, I think that's an important step. That's something I like to write that strategy. That's a strategy actually going to write out because a lot of people don't know because people like to just jump
Mm-hmm.
for it. Like, okay, I want to be an entrepreneur and I'm just going to jump. And then some people never jump. You know what I'm saying? So it's
Yeah.
two sides of it. Some people like, what? I can't run a business. Who am I kidding? I can't do that. It's impossible. Who told you it was impossible?
You got to find the in between.
Hmm. Yeah.
So Ray, how does and anyone that listens to this podcast, how do they get in contact with you for any coaching, mentorship services?
Well, for this particular podcast, I actually set up a site. If you go to profitintegration.com/call, and I can do a strategy call with you. Just all it is a strategy. It's not a sales pitch. All it is talking to you where your business is at, and maybe you just need that coaching. Maybe you just need some strategies to
Mm-hmm.
kind of get you past where you're at right now. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you got an issue that you're trying to get over and just trying to figure out how can I get from here to here? How do I scale up? How do I make more revenue? How can I do this? And we can have that conversation. and there's nothing totally involved into it. Those people that actually, get on the call with me, they actually get a free book. I got a book that I got out, and it's pretty much a book of 8 strategies that people are able to use that they cost you no money to use those strategies, and you can get a lot of revenue behind it. So it is something important. So if they can go to their website, profitintegration.com/call. Okay, if you go to that particular website, put your name, number. I'll call you on a first come first name basis, and all we're gonna do is have a conversation, see where you at, see what you're trying to do, and see if I'm able to help you out or not.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Ray, for getting on. Like, I've learned some stuff even listening to you. You definitely had a lot of different points, and I can tell that you know your stuff, because beauty about knowledge is that knowledge comes from experience oftentimes. So I appreciate you for getting on to the Millennial Network podcast. And everyone, again, remember, your network is your net worth. This is Coach Danny Renee, and we are out.